You ever have one of those days where you feel like the whole world is out to get you? Like it's some kind of trap just waiting for you to make a wrong move so it can snap shut? Well, that's pretty much the starting point for Selma Lagerlöf's incredible story, The Rat Trap. Now, she calls it a fairy tale, but it's really for grown-ups. It's about this guy who is so down on his luck, so beaten down, that he literally sees traps everywhere. Until one person, with one simple act of kindness, just completely flips his world upside down. So let's dive into how that happens.
And I mean, for our main character, this isn't just some random bad mood. No, this is his whole philosophy. It's how he sees everything. He looks out at the entire world, with all its beautiful places, all the opportunities people have, and all he sees is this one giant cosmic rat trap. And it's not just for him. He thinks it's there to catch every single one of us.
So what does that actually look like? Well, think about it. Every good thing in life, joy, a warm place to sleep, good food, a little bit of money, he sees all of that as just bait. It's the cheese in the trap, right? Something to lure you in before, snap, it all comes to an end. It's a really, really cynical way to live. But even though it's a super dark place to start, it's actually the perfect setup for a story about what it really takes to finally break free. All right, so let's meet the guy with this unique worldview. He's a peddler, a drifter, really. And get this, the irony is he actually makes and sells rat traps for a living. The very things he thinks the world is made of. Now, life has definitely dealt him a rough hand. His business is a total failure, so he's forced to beg and, yeah, even steal a little bit just to, keep body and soul together. He's wearing rags, he's starving, he's basically hit rock bottom. So he basically turns this into his own personal philosophy, the rat trap theory. And here's the twisted part. This bleak, cynical outlook is the only thing that brings him any comfort. Yeah, really. He spends his days walking around thinking about all the other people out there, the ones who look like they have it all together. And he imagines them getting caught in their own traps. And that thought, that image, it actually gives him this weird, dark kind of joy. It's his one way of feeling like he's smarter than everyone else, in a world that's basically kicked him to the curb. Okay, but then the story takes a turn. Something happens that he just does not see coming. One night, he's looking for a place to crash, and he knocks on this little cottage door, probably expecting to get yelled at or have the door slammed in his face, like usual. But instead, he gets a warm welcome. The guy who lives there, an old lonely crofter, is just thrilled to have someone to talk to. He gives him food, they share some tobacco, they play a game of cards, and for just a little while, our peddler gets to feel a real human connection, something that's been missing from his life for who knows how long. And this old crofter, he's just so open and trusting. He's totally an open book. He tells the peddler all about his life, how he's proud of his cow and how he makes a decent living selling her milk. And then, to prove he's not just talking big, he does something that's either incredibly trusting or, well, maybe a little foolish. Yup, he shows him the money, the exact amount he's saved up. We're talking 30 kroner in 3 old wrinkly 10 kroner bills. And he shows him right where he keeps it, in a little leather pouch just hanging on a nail by the window. Now, to you or me, that's a moment of trust. But to our peddler, all he sees is the bait. The cheese has just appeared in the trap. And you can probably guess what happens next. The bait is taken. The next morning, they say their goodbyes, the crofter leaves to milk his cow, and the peddler's old, cynical self takes over. He just circles back, smashes the window, grabs that pouch, and takes off. In his mind, he hasn't even done anything wrong. This isn't a betrayal. It's just how the world works. And in that moment, his whole rat trap theory feels 100% correct. So now he's feeling pretty pleased with himself, right? He thinks he's so clever. To be safe, he decides to avoid the main road and just disappear into the woods. Smart move, he thinks. But the woods are huge and confusing. He walks and walks for hours, but every path he takes just seems to twist and turn and lead him right back to where he started. He's completely lost. And that's when it hits him. This terrifying realization. His own philosophy, his whole rat trap theory, has just turned around and bitten him. The 30 kronor, that was the bait. And now the forest, with all its tangled trees and dead ends, this is the trap. It snaps shut on him. He's caught. It's become, as the story says, an impenetrable prison, and he has no idea how to get out. So he finally just gives up. He collapses on the ground, completely exhausted, thinking this is it. This is the end. But then he hears something, a sound. Thump, thump,
thump. A regular heavy sound. It's hammer strokes. He pulls himself up and just stumbles towards the noise, and eventually, he finds the source, a huge ironworks, glowing red in the darkness of the forest. And this is where things get really interesting. The owner of the ironworks, the Ironmaster, is there doing his nightly inspection, and he spots this ragged figure huddled by the furnace. But in the dim, flickering light, he doesn't see a poor, lost drifter. He sees someone else entirely. He's convinced it's an old friend from his army days, a guy named Captain von Stahl, who's obviously fallen on some really hard times. And so, feeling sorry for his old comrade, he invites him to his home for Christmas. But our peddler? He's immediately suspicious. Of course he is. He flat out refuses. To him, this is just another trap, maybe a more complicated one. Going to a rich man's house? No way. He thinks he's walking into the lion's den. So the Ironmaster gives up and sends his daughter, Edla, to try instead. And this is a really important moment, because their motivations are completely different. The Ironmaster sees an old friend he thinks he knows. He's acting out of a sense of duty to a memory. But Edla, she sees the person who's actually there, a scared, poor, miserable human being. Her invitation isn't about duty, it's about pure empathy. She just promises him he can leave whenever he wants, no strings attached. And that genuine kindness, that's the one thing his cynical worldview has no defense against. He agrees to go. All right, so now we're at the Ironmaster's house on Christmas Eve. The peddler gets a bath, a haircut, a shave, and they dress him up in one of the Ironmaster's nice suits. But the next morning, when he walks into the dining room in the full light of day, oops, the mistake is glaringly obvious. This is not Captain von Stahl, not even close. The Ironmaster is livid. He feels totally duped and threatens to call the cops. The peddler, feeling cornered again, just kind of explodes, going on about how the world is a rat trap and this is just another example. It looks like he's about to be thrown out into the cold, but then Edla steps in. She says, and I'm quoting here because it's so important, "I think he ought to stay with us today. I should like to have him enjoy a day of peace with us here, just one in the whole year." She argues that they were the ones who invited him, promising him Christmas cheer. And a promise is a promise, mistaken identity or not. And what's amazing is her father agrees. Edla's compassion completely wins the day. So the peddler gets to stay for Christmas. And for the first time in, well, probably his whole life, he's treated with real dignity. He's not a beggar, he's not a thief, he's just a guest. And he doesn't cause any problems at all. He basically just eats and sleeps, soaking up a kind of peace and safety he's never ever felt before. But there's one last bit of drama. The next morning, Christmas Day, the Ironmaster and Edla go to church. And what do they hear? News that an old crofter who lives nearby was robbed by a man selling rat traps. The Ironmaster immediately puts two and two together. He's convinced they've let a thief into their house. They rush home, pretty much expecting to find all their valuables gone. So they get home, and the man is gone. But nothing is missing. Nothing's been stolen. In fact, he left something behind. A little package addressed to Edla. And when she opens it, what's inside? Well, first, there's a tiny rat trap, a little gift from him. And inside that rat trap, the 30 kroner he stole from the crofter. And with the money, there's a letter. The letter explains it all. It says, the rat trap is a Christmas present from a rat who would have been caught in this world's rat trap if he had not been raised to captain. Basically, he's saying that because she treated him with the dignity and respect of a captain, she gave him the chance and the strength to actually become that better person. Her kindness gave him the power to break free from the real trap, which was his own bitterness and theft. And then he signs the letter, Captain von Stahl. So the story leaves us with this incredible question, right? Can just one single act of compassion totally change a person's life? The peddler's journey seems to scream yes. It suggests that maybe the world isn't the trap he thought it was. Or maybe the real trap was his own cynicism all along. And the key to escaping it wasn't money or cleverness, but just one person deciding to see the good in him and treating him like he was already there. Pretty powerful stuff to think about.